Hey everybody, this is Dream,
Hey, this is Fire.
and we're here to do a review of Monster Blast. Monster Blast was published and developed by Entwickler X, and it releases on September 11th. The price is $5 on Steam, $8 on Nintendo, and we're not sure what the price is on Xbox yet, but I'm guessing it'll be $8 just like it is on the Switch. Uh, this game is a twin stick shoot 'em up with the option to use a single stick as opposed to twin stick. So what did you think about the gameplay, Fire?
I do want to comment real quick on the twin stick to single stick. Does that mean it's handicapped? And could you play this game with a flight stick? Like if you're just getting some of that airplane games that have recently released, play this game with an airplane stick. I'm just throwing it out there. But no, all seriousness, the game's okay. It's fairly repetitive. Go into an area, clear out some bad guys. Go into another area, clear out some bad guys. Um, they introduce a couple neat things with the whole way the enemies kind of evolve into more and more difficult ones. But to me, it does get to a point where it's fairly repetitive, where like about halfway through the game, nothing new is really introduced, and I think that's almost like a miss. And a lot of the bosses in the game felt like the exact same boss.
Yeah, I agree. The bosses did seem to not be very difficult compared to even a lot of the enemies. I found that some of the bosses actually would go down faster than the enemies that you would fight trying to get to the bosses. The one note that I'll point out that they did actually include in the game, and it wasn't as obvious as you might think unless you actually played multiple, like you tried to start over a couple times or died or something, which was really hard to do. I managed to die one time in my playthrough. Is it actually does a random generated map, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
I've seen other games do that, and that's one of what's definitely one of the positives in the gameplay aspects. So you don't know where you want to go because there's lots of options up front.
yeah. I think every playthrough is technically different because it's all supposed to be randomly generated. I think the downside where at least in every playthrough I've done, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, but it's real easy to figure out your pattern because you always have to go the highest up on the map. And that will always lead you to the boss, at least every playthrough I did.
Yeah, it seemed like they should have had some more randomness to which direction you would need to go because most of the time, if you just wanted to blast through to get all the achievements and beat the bosses, then you could just literally just go straight forward, and you would most of the time, with a couple exceptions, you'd run straight into the boss after two or three rooms. And since the bosses were not very difficult, even on normal and hard in some aspects, you didn't have to do a lot of sitting around in other rooms in order to build up stuff. And even if you did, it wouldn't have benefited you in that room particularly. It only benefit you later. Uh,
Yeah, no, and I think one thing I did enjoy with the mechanic of the game though is how you get new weapons. So you have basically the same pistol. It kind of evolves the further you get into the game, but not too much. It basically shoots a couple bullets a little faster. But as you kill enemies, they drop these little purple gem-like things onto the ground, and you have a progress bar on the bottom right, opposite of your health. That as you collect those, once that bar fills up, it'll reset. But every time it resets, it drops a new gun for you to use. So it's kind of like it's a neat little niche thing that I haven't seen too many games at least show that or something like that lately. But at least I
for
enjoy.
sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed getting the one particular gun that had a splatter shot. It seemed like it was by far the best gun. Some of the guns seemed a little underpowered for being special weapons, but that one definitely seemed overpowered.
The one weapon that you would think you would really enjoy in the game that I absolutely dreaded picking up every time I was playing was the grenade launcher. It seemed so clunky, but then there's this shotgun type gun that shoots like five bullets out at once that I thought was really cool, and then there's also one you can pick up that's basically that same gun, but it just like rapid fires. And if you get that gun going into the boss fights, the bosses aren't even a fight.
Yeah, they just crumble like tissue paper.
Yeah.
What did you think about the graphics in the game?
I liked the cartoony little style. There's a lot of times where games will have like their graphical style, and they kind of will have trouble mixing in different elements, and it kind of takes away from that. But I like that the graphic style and visuals kind of matched, and like things seemed to fit properly in the game when you ran into either new enemies or just new encounters or levels in the game. It was a nice little touch.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that the graphics were done really well. In fact, for relatively small developers, they definitely went uh, are ahead of the curve in the graphics area. From I've seen a lot of other games attempt to use similar type of graphics, but usually have major problems with having it lag or have glitches or anything else. And I really didn't see any of that in this game at all.
Yeah, and one thing I will say, like for those achievement hunters out there, this game's achievements don't really get any easier because all you have to do is play the game. There's no achievements you're gonna miss. You'll get the full 1,000 just beating the game, and you can even beat the game on the easiest difficulty, and you're not gonna run into any struggles.
The only requirement for all the achievements is blasting the monsters.
Yes.
And you'll if you go on it on the easiest difficulty, you'll probably take you about 2 hours. If you do it on normal, like I did, it'd probably take you about 3 hours. And I'm guessing that there's probably 3.5 to 4.5 hours if you go on hard.
Yeah.
But overall, you're not gonna run into too many issues, especially as you level up. You're just gonna get stronger and stronger, and then you're just gonna be mowing stuff down. So,
So Dream, what did you think about the game?
overall, I thought it was better than I expected in some ways and worse in others. So I would give it a 6 out of 10 simply because of the not being very long and being somewhat repetitive. But I also think that it was better in the graphic department and also good for achievement hunters. So you're gonna have if it's something that if you like twin sticks, you're gonna like it simply because it does that well. But if you're not really into twin stick shooters and you're not an achievement hunter, then unless you're under the age of like 15, you're probably not gonna enjoy it that much. What about you?
I I wanted to like this game a lot more than what I do. I felt like after playing the game, after about 30 minutes, I didn't really get a whole lot of new out of the game, and I wanted more. By the time my play session was down about 2 to 2.5 hours in, I had beaten the game and just was still wanting to keep going, but there wasn't much to offer. I feel like the levels after a short little bit of time just kind of present you with the same enemies, whereas maybe as randomized as the map layout is for every playthrough, the enemies you encounter could have been a little more random. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10. I would like to have seen a little more out of the game. Achievement wise, it's a 10 out of 10 if you want achievements. But as far as an overall,
For sure.
I'd give this game a 5 out of 5. Or sorry, 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel like they could have. I feel like they could have had different enemies because there's 4 different worlds, so they could have had certain enemies for each world, and that might have made it a little more diverse, and so you would feel like you were actually having progressing and actually having harder enemies in each world that were different and unique to those worlds. I think that would have definitely stepped it up for me to add to, but they obviously uh, it's hard to know what the choices were from that perspective, but they definitely could have just added more different types of enemies later in the game.
Yeah, the things that they did good in the game, they did good, but I think where like, they made the game feel play really smooth, like the controls aren't too clunky, but where they focused on other areas, I feel like they probably should have focused a little more on, the actual experience itself over visuals. Like I would have much rather had a little crummier visuals to get a little more of a non-repetitiveness. Like it's a good solid point on paper, but I think there was just a little bit of misses here. I'm definitely
I
would
tend to
be,
agree.
I would be really excited to try out another game from this developer from my experience here. But this is a game that I would say wait for it to be on sale. Um,
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that it's definitely gonna be. It probably will end up being on sale to start as well, so it'll probably be a good buy for the achievement hunters out there straight away.
yeah.
Um, just a note, so they've actually got a couple other games on Xbox. One of them is Mace, and the other one is Superstar Blast. I haven't played either one of those games, but I'm guessing that they're probably relatively similar from the based on the achievement scores and stuff that I see on TA.
Oh,
So um, overall, it's probably not a must buy, but it's not a bad game. I mean, you could do a lot worse. If it's $5 to $8 on Xbox, then that's probably not a terrible price,
yeah.
especially for an achievement hunter.
Yeah, and if you have like kids, younger kids, like this is a great game. Parents, you're stuck at home,
Oh yeah,
COVID, like the perfect game. Like there's nothing bad in this game at all.
the
It's
kids will
it's
have
killing.
fun just blasting the crap out of
Yeah,
monsters.
yeah. I do want to point
Sure.
one other thing out because it should still be going on for maybe a day or two by the time this review goes up. But the developers did give us a couple codes for this game to give away, so we'll get the entry for the giveaway down in the description in the video. If you guys want a chance to win a free copy of this game.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure to enter that, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And tell us what you think if you grab it or if you win the copy, and let us know what else you'd like to see us review in the future.
Yeah, I'm Fire. That's Dream. We're InDepth Gaming, and we'll catch you guys later.